Welcome back to another GTN Coach's Corner. On this week's show, how to swim fast. Well, don't we all struggle with that?
Whether you should put your goggles under or over your swim cap. Ooh.
How to prep for downhill running.
Using a recumbent bike for training.
And the evergreen, I can't stay in zone 2. Okay, let's get to your questions. Firstly, some quickfire questions. Are we answering these ones?
We're ready. Let's
okay,
go.
Swim ones. How long does it take to get used to my new wetsuit?
Never.
No, that's not true.
No, sorry.
It won't take long at all. You can get used to your wetsuit in 4 or 5 swims and it'll feel so much better than that first swim where it feels really restrictive and tight and uncomfortable. And make sure you put it on properly. We had a video about this just the other day, how to make sure you've pulled it on properly, got some water in it, made it comfortable. Won't take long at all for you to get used to it. Next one.
Will I swim the same pace in race as in the pool?
No, but sort of. Because your pool, you're going to stop, you're doing tumble turns, etc., which is kind of a little break, so your pace won't translate directly, but you will also swim more consistently and better when it's a race pace and you tape it and everything else than you do in the pool. So the difference is not as big as people think it's going to be. They swim a certain pace per 100 in the pool and they think, well, I'm going to have to go like 10 seconds slower in the open water. And it turns out that they almost the same pace.
Also, don't forget, you might be swimming open water. That could slow you down, but then you're wearing a wetsuit. You're more buoyant, less drag through the water, improves your body position.
Yeah,
so it's
wetsuits, man.
Yeah,
they're brilliant.
cool.
Okay, one more quick fire swim questions. What are paddles for?
For slapping you.
No, paddles are for increasing the strength aspect of your swimming. So to make sure that you're pulling more water with each stroke. Essentially, it's like doing a gym session while you're swimming. You're working on all that strength, a little bit lower heart rate, a little bit more strength, and obviously the benefits of that are pretty obvious. If you get your stroke nice and strong, you're going to be able to swim faster when you take them off.
As you can probably tell, I've done a lot of paddle work over the years.
Or can't tell, as the case may be. Okay, on to our questions. Leanne Stick says, hashtag GTN Coaches Corner. I tend to swim twice a week and cover about 1,250 meters in 30 minutes, just regular swimming. But I probably have to take short recovery rests every 250 meters or so. I want to build in more variation in my training, but I have little or no power when I swim. I feel like I can't really swim fast if I try. Or at least not that I can sustain for much longer than 50 to 75 meter. Do I just need to work on my arm, chest, shoulder strength? Or will this come with time and increased training? I am training for a sprint distance triathlon.
Wow. I know you're training for an endurance event because, well, sprint distance is an endurance event, I guess. And that does require you to swim 750 meters non-stop. That doesn't mean you need to be doing mega long reps, endurance reps.
Yeah, and here's the kicker. 250 meter reps in the pool are long reps.
Yeah.
I know they might not feel like it, but that is actually considered a long rep. Short reps in a pool are 25 meters or 50 meters.
So you're going to struggle to build that strength, that speed, that power over 250 meters. You need to rein it in big time and follow a nice structured session.
Yeah, your high intensity efforts aren't 50 to 75 meters long. They 15 to 25 meters long. You need to start with 10 to 15 minutes of hard swimming, easy into the wall, good recovery, and then go again, just 10, 15 meters, and then build it up to 25 meters, maybe pushing it once you're really getting fit to 50 meters of hard swimming at a time. You're trying to do 50 to 75 meters off the bat. That's not really how swimming works. You need to really keep those high intensity efforts short, and the 250 meter efforts are only for when you really do an endurance focus session.
And then even, when we get to the endurance focus, actually, if you are feeling pretty tired after 250 meters, then actually rein that in as well, and maybe start with just 100 meter reps, short recovery, go again, and before you know it, you'll be up to doing 200 plus meters, 400 meters non-stop, and it'll be a breeze.
You get more out of swimming 300 meters with 3 bar 100 with 5-second rest than swimming 300 meters straight. So don't be afraid to take a few seconds on the wall occasionally. Okay, next question. Mark Hamilton says, hashtag GTN Coaches Corner. A simple one for you, but I see both options in your videos. Goggles over or under your swim cap, or even between 2 caps. Thanks for the great content.
I think you might be opening a can of worms here because there's a
controversial.
No, personally, I would always put the straps under my hat. I come from a swimming background, and diving in, the straps sort of rolling down the back of your head. You just want those goggles to stay firmly in place. Also in triathlon, if you get knocked unintentionally, because that normally is what happens when you get knocked in a triathlon, it's not because people are trying to do it, and they knock your goggles. Even if they come off your face, they're stuck under the cap and you can just grab them and put them back on rather than fishing around for them in the open water. Are there really any benefits to putting the straps outside the hat?
Interesting, because I would generally put them outside the hat, because you can adjust them. You can put them on after you've put your hat, and you can adjust them. You can make them tighter. You can make them looser. Once they're under your hat and you put them on, there's nothing you can do with them.
Are you stopping during a triathlon and just adjusting? Maybe that's why you're losing all your time, James.
But also, if they do pop off your eye and they take the hat with them, then you're really in trouble.
That is true. That is true. And I did miss that one out.
Get your hat all skew and on your head, halfway off your head with your goggles tangled in it. If your goggles just pop up, you can grab them, put them back on. Yeah. So personal preference. There is no rule. There is no rule.
If you're going fast, though, you probably want
yeah.
Right, next one from Justin Hammer. I'll be taking a second crack at the Utah Valley Marathon in June. This marathon has a lot, it says a lot, maybe it's Canadian, of downhill running in it. Even though I felt prepped for the distance last year when I first ran it, I was not prepared for how running downhill made everything hurt so much more, and it really affected the second half of my race. I'm planning on trying to find some routes with significant elevation drops to add to my long runs, so on and so forth. This is pretty good timing because, James, you are training for a very mountainous ultra.
Yeah, everyone fears the uphills in these ultras. They're like, ooh, this race has 6,000 meters of climbing. But it's the downhills that actually do the damage and really hurt your legs, and you do need to prep for it. It's pretty simple how to prep for it. The main way is to run downhill. You have to actually spend a fair amount of time seeking out downhills, and then not just gingerly prancing your way down them. You actually have to run down them hard, like smash your legs a little bit to get that eccentric loading and get those little muscle damages, those little tears in your muscle that then recover and get stronger. Because it's those little tears in the muscles that can really hurt. You're essentially getting what you call DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. And in a long race like a marathon, you can actually get it during the event. Your muscles start getting to that point where they are really, really hurting from that eccentric loading.
Brings back horrible memories, doesn't it? That feeling. It's not nice.
Coming up soon.
Yeah, also, just before, if you're new to all of this and jumping into it, I wouldn't necessarily tell you tomorrow to just start hammering the downhills. Maybe add a little bit of strengthening work in before. That may actually mean doing some hill reps. So, actually working hard on the uphills. That's going to just improve the strength and stability in your hips, around your legs. Still running the downhills fairly hard, but then build into, as James says, those downhills, just to giving them a little bit of a welly.
You can also do eccentric loading in the gym, so with actual weights, where you actually are lengthening the muscle as you contract it. So as you are taking the weight, you're actually lengthening the muscle, and it's kind of pulling the muscle apart. There are various exercises. We won't go into them right now, but you can start doing some of that in the gym to get you prepared. Okay, next question. Chris Marshall says, #GTN Coaches Corner, is a recumbent bike useful for bike training when you don't have access to a regular bike? I imagine this is a bit of a niche question. It might often be the other way around, but yes, I guess. You are, as we've said before, it's all circles turning circles. So if your legs are turning circles, it's better than doing nothing, and there's going to be a fair amount of transfer. Not exactly direct transfer, because there's a lot less weight bearing in a recumbent bike.
The position is very different, so the application of that power and probably the muscles that you're using are going to differ. So don't expect to then just jump over onto your road bike or TT bike and it be all easy.
All the stabilizer muscles and stuff that you use when you race won't be trained, but it's better than doing nothing.
All right. Nice one. Final question from Sam Rollings99. Big fan of the channel. My #GTN Coaches Corner question. Last year I ran the Bath Half. Hey, local guy. In 1 hour 45 and spent the whole time in zone 4. Starting this year, I thought I'd do some zone 2 heart rate training. Oh, here we go. Based on the 80-20 model. However, I seem to struggle to stay in zone 2, especially in the morning where I can't even do a slow jog without creeping into zone 3. My Garmin, tells me that my resting heart rate is 51 beats per minute. I swim, run, cycle twice a week, so my fitness should be okay. I'm very happy sat in zone 3 for a 20k run, 70k cycle, or 2.5k swim. Just can't seem to stay in zone 2. Any advice on how to fix this? We get this question a lot.
We do get this question a lot. We're going to answer it again because it does keep cropping up, and clearly people are not getting the answer, but they're looking for the answer. Essentially what's happened is you've trained your zone 3 running really, really well, because every time you went out and run, you kind of slot into that comfortably hard effort level, which is zone 3. And then you train that and you get really efficient at it. And you never actually do the really easy in between, before that, where it feels like it's easy and you train that zone. So now you're really efficient in zone 3. You haven't really trained zone 2. So now zone 2 feels awfully uncomfortable and awfully slow. And so it just perpetuates and perpetuates, and you just never touch zone 2.
The other thing to add as well is a lot of people are basing this zone 2 off what Garmin is telling them. So you need to make sure that those zones are correct, i.e. your threshold that has been input into it to create these numbers and these zones is correct. But also, things like Garmin do tend to use a fairly rudimentary sort of 40 to 50, 50 to 60%
Very
zone.
rigid, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not that accurate.
Yeah, we'd actually suggest if you're a beginner, you adjust that zone 2 instead of 60 to 70, which Garmin will tell you it is, to more like 60 to 75% of your max heart rate, because you do have a wider range of that easy, and 70% is roughly where most people's zone 2 ends, but not everybody's. And the more beginner you are, the higher your heart rate will be, even in zone 2, even when you're still working purely aerobically. Yeah. So adjust it to a bit more like 75%, and then actually spend some time training in that zone 2. So rigidly set yourself, right, this is an easy run, and I'm going to stay below 75%.
Yeah, now I'm going to do a little bit of a name drop here, but I once ran with Javier Gomez.
Ooh,
yeah, I know. I did, yeah. I kept up with him because I was amazed just how slow. It was probably one of the slowest runs I've ever been on. And he was like, yeah, I run all my easy runs like this. And it was amazing just to kind of experience that. One of the best triathletes and runners in the sport at the time that,
or him?
Both, obviously. But also with that, it don't feel like you need to be a slave to the numbers. I mean, very often we'll just go on an easy run, and if it feels easy, it probably is easy. So just
you'll see the Kenyans running ridiculously slow, even though these guys can run marathons at under 3 minutes.
Yeah, and I imagine most of you are probably running quicker than them on the easy runs.
On the easy runs, yeah. Okay, I hope that answered that question. No doubt we'll get it again next week or the week after, but we'll answer it again. Thanks for sending your questions in. If you have any other questions, # GTN Coaches Corner below this video or any other one. We'll see you next week.
Cheers.